probably one of the more underrated players in the SEC, but he'll be faced against a stifling defense of the Aggies tonight.
Well, and that's the thing, right, Fish? I mean, LSU can score, but Texas A&M can defend amongst the best of anybody in America.
Yeah, they create a lot of offense off of their defense. We saw that in the Florida game. We saw that in their run, not only towards the end of last year, winning 11 out of their last 13 games, but their run through the NIT, they're starting to get back to some of those characteristics here now.
Aggies trying to get off to a good start in conference play last year, unlike digging that big hole a year ago, and quick on the trigger. That is Wade Taylor, one of the top scorers in the league, averaging 15.5 a night. LSU starting five, Trey Hannibal, the reigning SEC Player of the Week with a great performance against Arkansas in a win. He had 19, also played well in a close loss to Kentucky.
Well, Trey Hannibal is that third scorer that LSU has been looking for alongside Adam Miller and KJ Williams.
Offense doesn't always come easy for Texas A&M. They're not a great shooting team, but boy, do they get to the line. They average 27 free throw attempts a game. That's #1 in the country. On a blow by, strong take by Dexter Dennis, who started 94 games at Wichita State.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting what Buzz Williams told us at the shoot-around. You know, he said the way that they started to get to the free throw line was they actually looked at old film and they said, this is what other teams are doing to us. And then he actually showed them the free throws that the teams made after their fouls. And then he said, let's turn this negative into a positive for us. And so they looked at the ways that other teams created free throws. They started doing that and now have reaped the rewards.
Well, and that last play is kind of a microcosm of how they get so many trips to the free throw line. They're not the biggest team. They're not the most explosive team, but they will attack the rim and they will put pressure on your defense.
Yeah, and they do it as good as anyone in the country. You talked about the free throws attempted, but they also make them, as you see Dexter Dennis do on that particular trip.
Yeah, 19 makes a game. That's also #1, 73% on the year. Might have a clock issue. Our officiating crew, Joe Lindsay, Mike Nance, and Rob Rourke.
Great crew on hand tonight. And right now, you look at LSU, they have an exhilarating win over Arkansas, one of those teams that we know will be at the top of the league. Play Kentucky well on the road at Rupp Arena. I'm anxious to see how they come out and start here early.
Took Kentucky down to the wire at Rupp Arena the last game. Here's Hannibal, always dangerous on the attack. They work it around, three ball from the corner, kicks high off the rim and drops down for Adam Miller, the sophomore out of Peoria, Illinois.
And Adam Miller, coming off of that ACL injury in the previous season at LSU, decided to stay and has really played well. Hasn't been as consistent as they want him to be, though.
Almost a steal by Hannibal. Radford got it back, finds Dennis, spot fire three.
Energy's a little different, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
You can tell the importance of this basketball game. Both teams capable of playing in March, but both of them have such a long road to get there, as do many teams in college basketball right now.
And now a steal. This is Henry Coleman. And knocked away with a whistle and a foul. That'll go against Hannibal. Otherwise, Coleman was about to assault the rim.
And instead of Coleman assaulting the rim, Trey Hannibal assaulted him. A nice job of a solid, hard foul, making sure that he doesn't get the easy layup. Coleman,
the former Duke Blue Devil, coming into his own, averaging over 10 points, 5 rebounds a game.
Henry Coleman, really efficient. 53% from the field, but has to improve from that charity stripe. Only 66%. And even though the Aggies shoot extremely well, over 70% as a team, as a big man, if he gets fouled, it'll make him a lot more dangerous if he gets more effective from the free throw line.
We'll split the freebies here. 2-point lead for the Aggies. You see those gaudy numbers at the free throw line, and that's not on accident. That's something that Buzz Williams stresses. Something that's been very effective for the Aggie attack.
Mike, let's keep an eye on this. You see LSU starting their offense with about 18 seconds left to go because of that 1-2-2 pressure.
Another three from the corner. This time it's Cam Hayes. Woo! He's shooting 42% from downtown.
Yeah, such an effective player. Double figures his last 4 out of 6 games. Really a guy who takes care of his business, a blue-collar worker.
This is Marble, who was a force in that game against Florida. He had 17 points, one off his career high. That came as a Spartan. Inside, Coleman banging bodies. KJ Williams challenged it, and LSU corrals it. Haven't seen KJ Williams get a look at a shot yet. That's one of his sweet spots, top of the key. They work it around the horn. And Hill tried to thread the needle, hit the rim. The other corner, another three pops out for Miller. 1-point game, a little more than 3 minutes into the action here in College Station. Another three, knocked down. Dexter Dennis finding candy from behind the arc.
Think about Dexter Dennis, all freshman team at Wichita State. Long, successful career there. Now you have an experienced, veteran, older player for Coach Buzz Williams here with the Aggies.
Fountain to Miller, and there is the first look at the basket for Williams. Left that one short. A&M a good rebounding team, plus 3.5 on the glass. And that's going to be a foul as Marble is hacked down low.
You know, Mike, they always have a little fire before the Aggies games here, and both teams shooting it well, especially Dexter Dennis. That's right, the Wichita State transfer on fire now for the Aggies.
When you buy 10 tickets on Vivid Seats, you get the 11th ticket free. I wonder what my 11th will be.
Hey, you're trash!
Living rent-free in a hockey player's head?
Or maybe just make some noise!
What's your 11th?
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, like 2 times miles on every purchase.
The noise canceling! You're being too loud. Thank you! Good choice. Ooh, my lucky number.
Earn 5 times miles on flights.
Enjoy your stay.
Going up?
And 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel. Plus, get access to over 1,300 airport lounges.
White wine, please.
And maybe see the one and only Taylor Swift. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Free throws for Texas A&M, the #1 free throw shooting team in college basketball. 2-point game as we welcome you back inside Reed Arena. He is Damian Fishback, former Auburn Tiger. I am Mike Morgan. Great to have you on board here this Saturday. Let's go back in time, Fish. Let's go back to a year ago. The Aggies lose 8 in a row in conference play. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a disaster. Then they win 11 out of the last 13, make it to the championship game in the SEC tournament, and all of a sudden things are good. Off to a much better start this year, and I know you love their makeup.
Yeah, I think they've changed and turned of the tide. And so let's talk about how they have to continue to do that, Mike. I think one of the first ways they have to do it is be elite defensively. We've talked about the free throws and their ability to score on offense, but when they score on offense, I think this is how they have to do it early in transition before the defense sets up, and then they have to be exquisite at their offensive execution when they're in the half court. And then last but not least, they have to be the hardest, scrappiest playing team every single time they're in between the lines. You see that right here, that nice display, and they come up with the loose ball. That's what the Aggies have to do if they want to dance in March. A long ways, but it's certainly not out of reach because they went out and challenged themselves in non-conference this year.
If you watch that Florida game, I don't know if there's a team that can play any harder on defense. I don't know if you could play any scrappier than what the Aggies did, and that's really what won the game for them. Yes, they have some weapons offensively, particularly with Taylor and Radford, but what they do defensively is just a whole other level, and that's the identity of their coach, and that's what he wants the identity of Aggies basketball to be. You see 21 points off of turnovers against the Gators. That was really the difference in the game.
Yeah, it was, and that win looks even better now as Coach Todd Golden getting a nice victory, as you see a 10-second violation over the LSU Tigers. But Todd Golden got a nice victory today over Georgia, who just knocked off the number 22 ranked Auburn Tigers. And so that win at Florida keeps getting better and better for the Aggies.
Special homecoming for Mike White, the former Gator coach, now the Georgia coach. So that was a unique moment over there in Gainesville. Tennessee dominating today. How about Alabama over Kentucky? Woo! And you already referenced Arkansas. I think we know who's at the top of this league. These are two teams right here. Again, one of them is going to make a major statement today.
Sure.
If the Aggies hold home court, you're 2-0 in league play, and they seem to have found a really good rhythm here of late. Shot clock under 5. It's going to be Coleman. Coleman fading and firing, rims off, and that's going to be a foul on A&M, crashing on the offensive glass. Be an over-the-back foul on Dexter Dennis. Matt McMahon, again, 6 coaches at new places in the SEC. He is one of them. And one of the things we talked about Coach McMahon with at shoot-around today is obviously when you have a talent like KJ Williams, that's a huge get, but really the continuity. They've got 3 starters that all came from Murray State, and they all know what Coach McMahon wants and expects.
Yeah, that's critical, right? They talk about the success of both him and Dennis Gates and having some of their former players that know what to expect from them. And you know, Coach McMahon is a guy who won 31 games last year, right? So he's accustomed to winning. This 12-2 is something that he's used to doing, and he did it at a school that's accustomed to winning in Murray State. You talk about expectations. They expect to win at Murray State, and as they do at LSU as well.
Coach McMahon, 3 NCAA tournaments during his time at Murray State. Twice they made it to the round of 32 as a mid-major. On the runner, beautiful looking shot by Wade Taylor. Boy, has he improved dramatically freshman to sophomore year.
Best floater in the SEC. He made a big one on the road at Florida in that second half to help them get the dub, and he just continues to get better for Coach Buzz Williams. Buzz Williams telling us today he's not only a high IQ player, he's a high EQ player. Emotional. He loves it the way he plays the game emotionally. Shot clock at 3. Now 1. Good if it goes. Back iron that time for Hayes. Pretty basketball, just not able to knock down the shot. I think for LSU, they have to try to use their size and go into the interior a lot more. Coach McMahon talked about how they needed to keep the Aggies out of the paint. And this is what I mean when I talk about that floater. You know, the game has changed, and smaller guards, if you want to play against outstretched bigs, need to be able to knock down that floater in today's game, and Wade Taylor has mastered it.
You see the numbers on Wade Taylor. He's trying to do something that hasn't been done around here in a long time. Lead in points, assists, and steals. AC Law, one of the best players in the history of this program, did it back-to-back years. That was the Billy Gillespie era where they had great success in the Big 12 Conference. Hill, rise and fire on a 3. And an offensive rebound coming in. It's Jalen Reed. Now a loose basketball. You know there's going to be Aggie players all over that. Like sharks to bloody water. They just come racing in. And of course, Tyrese Radford, boots, as they like to call him, tough as leather, right there amongst the mix.
Mike, it's safe to say if there's a loose ball on the floor, the Aggies have a good chance of getting it. The last 3 shoot-arounds, Buzz Williams has actually started out his team early morning shoot-arounds with diving after loose balls, having his guys get on the floor. That's something I didn't do probably since like middle school, right?
I mean, I couldn't believe we get here this morning and Buzz has got his own personal playlist music cranking. And they're, like you said, if they're practicing diving for loose balls, it's like 10 in the morning, first thing they do right out of the gate in a shoot-around session.
We call those get your mind right drills, and that's what Buzz Williams does for his team.
Pull up from 15. Beautiful looking shot by Cam Hayes.
And Cam Hayes had 25 versus Winthrop. Big 13 points on that road win versus Wake Forest.
Another runner that time by Taylor. corralled by LSU. Here come the Tigers in a 3-point game.
Like most teams, the Aggies' offense and defense is very much connected. As they get more stops, their offense will improve. As they get less stops, they're more challenged on the offensive end.
Garcia rips down the rebound for A&M. Here comes Radford. Back to Garcia. Tried to angle it in, and KJ read that one all the way. Williams on a steal.
Yeah, not quite sure with Garcia. It's almost like he's still trying to figure it out.
Hayes to Hill. Here's KJ. Baseline extended.
See how Garcia's showing himself, though? Discouraging KJ Williams from attacking the basket. That's as good as the double team. Even better because you don't get out of rebounding position.
Shot clock at 3. Beautiful move by Cam Hayes. The spin, the fire, and the bucket.
6'2", 185 pounds, out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Playing with a lot of confidence here on the road.
Back to a 1-point game. Coleman pulls up inside the circle. What a job by Radford just to tap that out. Inside, Radford with the finish. That was all Tyrese Radford.
Beautiful cut off of the basketball. He didn't stand and wait for the basketball to come to him. Radford's cut to the basketball where the open space was at.
He's got a couple of unique stats for a guy 6'2". Shoots over 50% at that size. Travel on LSU. And that'll bring us to a media timeout with 11:20 to go.
Well, Mike, you remember the man by the name of Earl the Pearl, right?
Yeah.
You remember that spin?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's a nice Earl the Pearl spin right there with the mid-range jump shot. Cam Hayes, and then Radford with the answer. Beautiful basketball.
So cozy.
How many rooms are in there?
Should we go check it out?
Yeah.
We get to stay here all weekend.
When you stay at a Verbo,
I call doing the door code.
the host doesn't stay with you.
It looks exactly like the picture.
Because without privacy in your vacation home,
It's a full log cabin, guys.
it isn't really a vacation,
Snuggle up by the fire.
is it?
Oh my God. I want to be quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I want to carry 80,000 fans to victory. You know, nothing major.
By 3 on LSU. Mike Morgan, Damian Fishback. We've talked about Texas A&M and their start to the season. Much better than what you saw a year ago when they really struggled out of the gate, trying to pick up where they left off last year with that great finish, winning 11 out of the last 13. 8-game losing streak in SEC play, and you know that was after the nightmarish COVID year where nothing went right for Texas A&M. Then all of a sudden, the lights went on. Quentin Jackson went on too. He's in the G League right now, putting up numbers. They reached the SEC tournament championship game. They reached the NIT championship game, and again, Jackson might be gone, but guys like Taylor and Radford and Gordon, those are Coleman. Those are guys that are back and playing a huge role.
Yeah, you got two coaches here, and Coach McMahon and Buzz Williams, that are both not accustomed to NITs. They're accustomed to NCAA tournaments, which is why this game's so important. But Coach Buzz Williams knows, as well as the other teams that competed, it's more than just getting to the finals of the NIT. Guys like Julius Marble, they want to get to the NCAA tournament. This is a completely different team this year.
Got another whistle without a foul, I don't believe. Double checking something there. Joe Lindsay going to the scoring table, and yeah, they're resetting the shot clock. So it's the second time we've had a little bit of a clock issue here at Reed Arena. I want to go back for a second to the guy that hit that last basket, Julius Marble, former Michigan State Spartan. Didn't play a ton, obviously a lot of talent on that roster every year for Tom Izzo, but he is a guy out of Dallas, Texas that Coach Williams told us he recruited all the way back to his days at Virginia Tech. There's another steal. Dennis drops the hammer.
Young fella. I didn't know he had that in him. I've watched him all year now. I didn't see that type of bounce this year.
I didn't either. Felt that one all the way back in Wichita where he transferred from. 7-point lead. That's the largest for the Aggies. And a bump foul that time on Julius Marble.
We talked about Aggies scoring off of their defense, and this 1-2-2 pressure, it's very hard to simulate. And when they're able to get out and create live ball turnovers, which is what Coach McMahon said was one of the things they could not do, it makes them tough to deal with because you don't have your defense set up, and those are easy baskets that they're able to manufacture night in and night out.
Every pass has to be surgical against Texas A&M because they will get their hands on it if it's not. Hannibal sets up the play, gets a high ball screen from Williams. Dumps it down low, shot up, no good. And a rebound corralled by Marble. Gordon up top. Flips it back out to Dennis, and now a 3-second violation on Texas A&M. That was Garcia. A little too much time in the paint.
Well, he was wide open for the shot, was Andre Gordon, and a lot of times, you know, he actually passes up shots, but the one thing that he doesn't do is turn the basketball over very much, and that's why Coach Buzz Williams loves it.
Hannibal trying to beat the trap at midcourt.
Yeah, right now LSU's become a very passive team because of that defense, which is what you can't allow yourself to do against the Aggies.
Weaving, firing, missed it short. Rebound Williams. KJ's been uber quiet.
Mismatch.
Trying to change it right there. Takes advantage of that mismatch.
Yeah, light work inside for the big fella at 6'10", going against Dexter Dennis, who's only about 6'5".
First bucket of the game for KJ Williams, second leading scorer in the SEC. Dennis, now he's harassed. He coughs it up. Great defense that time by Miller.
Yeah, much better aggressiveness.
Here comes LSU on the attack. Blocked at the rim was Hannibal. Great defense by Marble. Just walled up right near the rim. Gordon says, I don't like it. Let's set something up here. Marble thought about it and then fires up an oxygen ball, and I think that's one that Buzz Williams and the Aggies can live without.
Well, you know, oftentimes Buzz Williams is pretty energetic on that sideline. You know, and I see that in him today because he realizes the importance of this game. And, you know, this LSU team can go on runs. They're so athletic. They're so deep. And they only play 5 to 7 guys, but those 2 or 3 guys that come off the bench are quality guys. They bring good energy.
There's the buzz box, and you know it's about that time where the face changes complexion. It's a different reddish hue that comes over him the deeper we go into the ball game.
And right now, we talked about LSU being somewhat passive. Well, you see that they made the change. Right? They made the change. Instead of settling for so many three-point shots as they did earlier in this basketball game, they've decided we're going to attack the paint and see if we can get to the free throw line.
Well, this is the ultimate downhill guard in the SEC. Trey Hannibal, they list him at 6'2", 215. It looks more like a 230-pound frame to me. I mean, he is built like either an NFL running back or linebacker, and if you watch that Arkansas game, they don't win it without him. I mean, he just took over, and the play was simple. High ball screen, and let him race to the rim and attack, and who's going to get in front of him with a full head of steam?
Well, I was talking with former LSU coach beside us, Coach John Brady, and I said, I thought that Trey Hannibal was a guy who could really control a game from the free throw line. Because of that size that you mentioned, right? You don't have to always make a lot of three-point shots or even be able to get to the rim. You can live at the free throw line, which takes the crowd completely out of the game.
2 for 2 for the 67% free throw shooter. Transferred from Murray State. Before that, played for Frank Martin in South Carolina. Approaching the 8-minute mark of the first half. Aggies have led most of the way. Taylor with a rise and fire triple.
Big-time three-point shot. Wow, has he taken strides in the right direction.
Everything about his game is just smooth. 6-point lead for the Aggies.
Look how Texas A&M's got them pushed out, though. They got the Aggies. See how their offense is going back towards the half court? You want to be the aggressor. You're trying to go to the rim.
Hannibal spins and then throws it off the body of Marble and the Aggies. It'll be LSU basketball when we come back.
Dexter Dennis saying, that's right, Mike Morgan, Damian Fishback. I got hops. You didn't know about this, but I can take it to the next level. Aggies up 6.
When you buy 10 tickets on Vivid Seats, you get the 11th ticket free. I wonder what my 11th will be.
Hey, you're trash!
Living rent-free in a hockey player's head?
Or maybe just make some noise!
What's your 11th?
With the Venture X card from Capital One, you earn 2 times miles on every purchase.
They're noise canceling. You're being too loud. Good choice. Ooh, my lucky number.
Plus, earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel. What's in your wallet?
When Dexter Dennis was at Wichita State, it's not that he couldn't score, but he was known for his defense. He was the American Defensive Player of the Year. That fits well into what Buzz Williams preaches and coaches here in College Station. But how about a game-high 9 points already in the first half?
Well, I really think that he's done a nice job of really becoming more aggressive since coming over here to play for Texas A&M. And, you know, he does really well in transition. You see him here with the stop, pop, and you see those nets drop rather quickly. Wade Taylor doing a nice job of drawing, driving, and dishing for the three-point shot that time. And then the athleticism, we've seen this a amount of times, and we're going to look at it one more time, where Dexter Dennis has been one of these weapons that Coach Buzz Williams and the Aggies have used throughout this season.
Season high is 13. He's well on his way to eclipsing that mark. He's out of Baker, Louisiana. Played at Wichita State for 3 years, one of the top defensive players for the Shockers before coming to the Aggies and Buzz Williams, and what a find he has been. Got him catching fire with just 1 on the shot clock. A miss that time by Fountain. Quick 3 off the bench by Hayden Hefner. He's in there to get shots up, and he got one up there.
Mike Nance over there by Coach McMahon, you know, had a little something in his ear. And Coach Buzz Williams doesn't want to hear it. The fact of the matter is, can't control the stripes, and so if you're the Aggies, you keep playing the same thing by LSU.
I mean, because of the way the Aggies play, how the whistle goes is really big. It's huge. I mean, you could say it's big in every game, but it doesn't affect the same team the same way when you're talking about Texas A&M. They play like an old school Big East squad. Great job defensively right on cue. Henry Coleman draws the charge.
Are we going to look at the replay of Buzz or the charge here? He gets elated at the job of Henry Coleman giving up his body, and I think the transfer from Duke still coming into his own under Coach Buzz Williams, but he's got to get more consistent for the Aggies to try to make that run.
Seven minutes to go, first half. And that time, Taylor got bottled up. LSU has not found a flow or a rhythm on offense. Almost a turnover that time by Hayes.
I like this matchup, though, for Hayes.
Hayes, step back, 20-footer. Off the iron, there's Williams, one of the best rebounders in the league. Sets up a teammate, a missed 3, and a foul down low. And that'll go against A&M.
Well, and this is something that I think LSU has to do to take it to the next level. 12-2. Nice start that went over Wake Forest. A big one to win at home versus Arkansas. But they have a lot of length and athleticism when you look at Williams, who's 6'10", and Derek Fountain, who's another guy who's 6'10". I don't think they attack the glass hard enough.
Yeah, they're only plus 1.5 on the glass this year. That's a 5 second. So think about this. A&M has already forced a 10-second violation and now a 5-second violation.
Yeah, my man Andy Kennedy, who used to work with us, who's doing an outstanding job at UAB, as we all expected, but he always talks about winning the special teams. And you think about whether it's execution on offense or defense, A&M has won the execution on the special teams here in the first half.
Just suffocating on the defensive end of the floor. 3 ball from the corner. Hefner a little too anxious on that one. But A&M will catch a break. You had 2 LSU Tigers trying to reel that in like a fair catch in football, and they just fumbled it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Hefner was really making gigantic strides last year, and particularly on that run to the NIT. But as you've had new players come, and maybe not the minutes that he maybe would have expected, hasn't really gotten into a stride thus far this season.
Yeah, he's better than a 28% three-point shooter. That's where he's at. Whoa, strong take. That's just bully ball by Wade Taylor. He only goes 6 feet 185, but he played a lot stronger there.
Well, if Justice Hill had a fallen down, he maybe couldn't have got an offensive foul, but he didn't, and so the officials allowed it to go.
Quick trigger on the 3 on the other end. Adam Miller, 6 points now for the sophomore. He could be an elite shooter when he is on. He started off kind of sluggish. Coach Matt McMahon a week ago said, if you're looking for return on investment, I still have a lot of faith in number 44 in purple. Hefner dumps it down low. Wheeling, kneeling. Offensive rebound, Coleman. Coleman with the putback.
Just tougher right now. Right now, the Tigers not responding to the physical play of the Aggies. Not more size by the Aggies, just more will and more heart right now.
Offensive rebound, such a big part of what A&M does. Great ball movement, open 3 on the way. You got to have that if you're LSU. And then out of bounds to the Aggies.
I like the effort that time by Derek Fountain, though. That's what you want. But we talked about the Aggies and how they have to win basketball games. They have to be the hardest playing teams at all time. You see the emotion, the animation by Coach Buzz Williams. That's what he expects from his Aggie team.
5 minutes remaining in the first half. It's a 7-point game. It's a kind of game that really you would think favors the Aggies much more than the Tigers. It's another air ball, that time fired up by Dennis.
Good pass.
Hayes on a 3. LSU has gone chilly now from behind the arc. And really from the field overall, shooting is 27% in this half.
Yeah, 3 of 11 from the 3-point line. And once again, you've got Texas A&M getting to the free throw line. But surprisingly, when you look at this basketball game, right, you see Wade Taylor going inside and Fountain just kind of touches him a little bit. Wade Taylor, frankly, was falling down himself as well. But when you see the game going in this direction, there's a feel that the Aggies should be up a little bit more with this horrible as LSU has shot.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, not much has gone right for LSU in this half. They're very fortunate for it to only be a single-digit lead. A lot of action up top, off the screen, off the curl. It's Dennis hanging and drawing another foul. Now, again, it's not on accident when you're leading the country in free throws made and free throws attempted. And you don't have a superstar, right? There's not a lottery pick necessarily on this team. They're not the biggest team in the world. It's more of what they do and how they play the game.
You want me to tell you who they are?
Tell me.
They are the Joe Frazier of the SEC.
Wow,
you think about Joe Frazier, how he used to always lean on Muhammad Ali. You know, how he would always be the aggressor. He was always coming towards you. Where Dexter Dennis off of that curl going at the defensive LSU. All of the plays that Coach Buzz Williams sets up are going downhill towards the defense, and that's who I think they are. They're the Joe Fraziers of the SEC.
I like the boxing analogy already here in January.
Oh, boxing fan, man. Now we'll have to see if LSU got some George Foreman in it.
Are we doing Rumble in the Jungle here? That would be Auburn. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Tigers in Arkansas will be up later tonight on the SEC Network. That'll be a fun one to watch.
Got to watch that. Top 25 matchup. These are the type of games where Coach Bruce Pearl usually responds after a tough loss at Georgia.
9-point game. LSU has been in the funk offensively, and obviously the Aggies have had a lot to do with it. Tough take, and top floor for the rebound is Henry Coleman. Dennis on a baseline drive. Dennis weaving his way out of reverse layup. Lost a shoe, but he still gets 2. He's playing on one shoe and holding the other. Now he throws the shoe away.
Now I'd go to Hill. If you can't beat a man with one shoe on.
Right? You got to be demanding the ball if you're Hill. Instead, it's a runner. And that'll bring us to immediate timeout. Dennis gets his shoe back, and the Aggies are up 11. Dexter Dennis has already tied his season-high 13 points. One shoe or 2, he's on a roll, and so too are the Aggies.
Steffi Sorensen, Pat Bradley, Alyssa Lang here with you. We'll see you at the half. Huge wins by Alabama and Tennessee today. We'll talk this game, of course. What have you seen?
Ooh, keep riding Dexter Dennis. He's the answer.
I got to know, fellas, what's more impressive, Dexter Dennis playing with one shoe or starting practice by diving on the ground for loose balls? What do you think?
Had 2 shoes when he was diving for loose balls at the beginning of shoot-around today. We can't confirm that. But he just showed he can also play the game with one shoe.
Yeah, well, he's played phenomenal basketball, as have the Aggies thus far. But it's a 40-minute game. We saw that earlier today when Georgia came out and punched first versus Florida. And not sure what Todd Golden said, but they came out and dominated in that second half. A team that LSU will face next Tuesday. Every game you got to lace them up, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You and I will be in Baton Rouge for that one. That'll be fun. By the way, you want a stat of the game so far, Fish?
Give it to me.
All right. This is not minutia. This is a true number that dictates where we are thus far as Taylor knocks down another deuce. LSU, you mentioned they've got length, they've got size. 0 points in the paint thus far with 3 minutes to go.
And that's why they're getting beat now by 13 points. They're playing the game passive. You can't allow pressure to make you passive. Now, it is challenging with A&M because they make you passive in the first, let's say, 47 feet. But then you can be aggressive here. You just can't keep turning it over.
And that one comes
as
right,
they did that time.
Right at our broadcast station here. KJ Williams is still sitting on 2 points, the league's second leading scorer. They're shooting 25% from the field. Now the turnovers are racking up. Again, in a lot of ways, if you're LSU, you're fortunate to only be down 13 at this point.
Oh, I guess Buzz Williams wanted to get a sub in. I thought he was going to come over here and shake Mike Nance's hand to get him in. But no, listen, when you're playing the Aggies, you can't be an automatic team, right? You got to be able to drive a stick shift. And with the LSU Tigers, they want to go one speed. You can't. You need to be aggressive versus the pressure. If it's set up and you have something, then go and score. If not, then you got another 18 seconds to attack the defense.
Their offense has been stuck in first gear. Tough shot that time. Bit of a force for Gordon.
So here's where you're aggressive. See if you can get something early.
Miller defers. KJ on a 3.
Rush, bad shot. The Aggies were back solid in defensive transition.
Would you not want to have more paint touches for KJ Williams right now?
Well, no doubt about it, but there's a concern after watching the Florida game that they're just going to double team him and surround him, as you see Dexter Dennis with another reverse layup. There was a concern by Coach McMahon that they were just going to surround him like they did against Colin Castleton for Florida. But I think you've got to attack as a team, as a unit in the paint area.
That's a silencer, yeah. Justice Williams, a much-needed 3. That snaps a 10-0 Aggies run. That last basket by Dennis, by the way, he's already got a new season high, 15 points in the first half.
I'm anxious to see what type of character LSU shows here down the stretch. minute 30, minute 27 left to go. These are huge minutes for both teams, for the Aggies to try to extend this lead and for the LSU Tigers to try to get back and make this maybe a single-digit game going into the half.
Well, we just teased it. Don't forget, coming up later tonight right here on the SEC Network, Ricky Council IV, the number 13 Arkansas, taking on Wendell Green Jr. and number 22 Auburn. Coverage beginning at 8:30. Give me a key for Auburn, because I think we're still trying to figure out what kind of team Bruce Pearl has this year.
Well, it's the same thing that I just mentioned with the LSU Tigers. They have to be the aggressor, right? You talk about Coach Bruce Pearl. He has never been a guy to be passive. He's never been a guy to back down from anything and anybody. But his team this year hasn't taken on that personality. Defensively, they play well, but I don't know if they're attacking enough defensively, especially in Neville Arena today. You're going to be playing against a very good team in Arkansas, but a lot of freshmen on that team, right? A lot of guys who have never been to Neville Arena. And so they need to be the aggressors, make sure they can try to do what Arkansas does, turn you over, see if they can score and dominate the offensive glass and get out and score early in transition.
That'll be a fun one tonight. Our nightcap here on the SEC Network. Full boat of games this Saturday in the Southeastern Conference. Another offensive rebound reeled in by the Aggies. They just swarmed the basketball.
Yeah, looks like Cam Hayes is limping a little bit as if he's hurt, trying to fight through it a little bit. Number 1 for LSU.
Inside, Coleman banging bodies. Great job defensively by Kendall Coleman. LSU transition and an and one. Boy, that is a sight for sore eyes if you're a Tigers fan. Cam Hayes now with 9 points to lead the way.
So what did they do? Number 1, they were aggressive. Number 2, they got out before the defense of A&M had a chance to get set up. Big time difference between being passive, waiting for the defense to set up, and just throwing up a 3-point shot. You can't do that and beat the Texas A&M Aggies. Not sure what's going on here besides allowing Cam Hayes a couple of seconds to.
When you picked up on it, Cam definitely has a noticeable limp. He took that time to go all the way to midcourt and come back and was walking gingerly. Does complete the 3-point play, a much needed 3-point play for LSU, and they pull within single digits.
We talked about, let's remember this as we go into the second half. We talked about that last minute 27. If you're LSU right now, you have a chance to get a stop and bite into this lead even more. For the Aggies, you can't allow them to let up.
Quick hands, almost a turnover forced by Justice Williams. Coleman, calming influence with the basketball up top. Gets a ball screen. Dumps it down low. A terrific dime dropped by Coleman into the waiting hands of Julius Marble. And another timeout called by LSU.
How about those points in the paint, Mike? 18-2. If you want to look at the aggressor, look at the trips to the free throw line, look at the rebounds, and look at points in the paint. LSU's going to have to try to respond not only now with 23 seconds left, but certainly in this second half to make a game out of it.
And it really speaks to the Aggies defense. Again, I go back to the loss against Kentucky, which came down to the wire, the win against Arkansas, which came down to the wire. In both those games, so many of their baskets did come in the paint, whether it was transition or straight line drives, and we've seen next to none of that in this game.
Well, and the question out right now for a couple of surprise teams, LSU in the SEC, Mississippi State in the SEC, and Missouri, 3 teams that all have new coaches, and people have some questions of what they would get done this year. Is, are they for real?
Right.
They all did well in the non-conference. Missouri able to get a 1-possession win over Vanderbilt today, and now LSU trying to prove whether they can take care of business here on the road as well.
It's going to be a quality win for somebody and kind of help pass the smell test for either one of these teams. Whether it's a road win for LSU or whether it's the Aggies getting off to a 2-0 start, you see the terrific performance by Dexter Dennis, already a season-high 15 points. And the Aggies dominating life in the paint thus far, 18-2. Shot clock is off. Tigers will play for the final shot of the half.
I think you got to get KJ Williams a touchdown here. You have to get him going. Either him or Adam Miller.
They set a staggered screen on the left side. Now the clock is down to 2. This is a desperation heave by Hayes, and not exactly what LSU was looking for. 11-point lead for Texas A&M, 34-23. Our halftime score here from the Reed Arena in College Station. I know the gang in studio has a big day of action in the SEC to discuss. As
do that, whether it's KJ Williams, Derek Fountain, Trey Hannibal, you can't continue to settle from the perimeter from behind the three-point line.
And that's exactly what they did in the first half. Just 2 points in the paint for LSU. Aggies will have it first here in the second half, up by 11. And again, already best game of the year for Dexter Dennis, the transfer from Wichita State. His career high, incidentally, is 25 as a shocker. That came against SMU. He's already got 15. Taylor, one of the top scoring dynamos in this league, angles it down low, knocked away, and it will remain Aggies basketball.
And it looked like LSU was kind of in a sloughing, maybe matchup zone or 2-3. Now they have went back man-to-man now, specifically, I'm sure, for rebounding purposes.
That time it is a turnover. LSU basketball.
So we talked about what LSU needed to do. For the Aggies, you can't allow yourself to get comfortable whatsoever. A long 20 minutes left to play.
There's quick hands. Boy, what a game for Dexter Dennis. Remember, he was the American Defensive Player of the Year, and now he's scoring, he's dropping dimes, he's doing it all.
Well, I love the way that they're getting to the passing lanes. They do a nice job of really using their hands, not only in the passing lanes, but if you bring the basketball down as well.
94 starts at Wichita State for Dexter Dennis. Hayes on a pull-up. Taylor rips down the rebound. Ahead of the pack all the way, the big man, Julius Marble. He just came lumbering down. 9 points now for Marble. And Matt McMahon says, quick timeout, 55 seconds into the half.
Well, what impresses me is that the Texas A&M Aggies are just the harder playing team.
When you buy 10 tickets on Vivid Seats, you get the 11th ticket free. I wonder what my 11th will be.
Hey, you're trash!
Living rent-free in a hockey player's head?
Or maybe just make some noise!
What's your 11th?
With the Venture X card from Capital One, you earn 2 times miles on every purchase.
They're noise canceling. You're being too loud. Good choice. Ooh, my lucky number.
Plus, earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel. What's in your wallet?
Here, boom. Now look at KJ Williams and Julius just run the floor like a deer. You think about Marble and the way that he played at Michigan State. He's playing even better here for the Texas A&M Aggies. And that's why Coach McMahon called that timeout. He said, this is not okay.
Yeah.
This is not what LSU basketball looks like. This is not going to be accepted, and I can't wait to see the response of the LSU Tigers.
Pretty hard to lose Julius Marble down the floor. He's 6'9", 245, transferred from Michigan State. His sister goes to nearby Prairie View. He lost his father during his time in East Lansing. LSU having trouble. They already had one 10-second violation in this game. Down low, and there's a foul drawn by the second leading scorer in the league, KJ Williams. A paint touch yielding good results.
Well, that's the first time we've seen LSU really be aggressive in this second half. And, you know, I hate to be redundant saying passive and aggressiveness, but sometimes it just boils down to your mindset, right? Your body language, how you're playing the game of basketball. And right now, it hasn't been who's better, who's more talented. It's been the will of the Aggies overshadowing the real and determination or lack thereof of the LSU Tigers.
Biggest highlight of the game for KJ Williams tonight. He has collected 5 rebounds. That gives him 1,000 for his career. He's going to hit 2,000 points for his career, but you see what he's been doing all year long. He's been one of the top scorers and rebounders in this league, and he's just been held in check they need a big half out of number 12 in purple.
Well, I think you've got to be forceful in getting him the basketball regardless of what defense the Aggies are playing. And now we see a little pressure, a little 1-2-2 by LSU in the full court, back to their man-to-man.
Hannibal hounding Radford. There's been the hot hand throughout the game. Dennis. Radford back out Marble. Hadn't hit a three all year. Misses that one. Marble gets it back though. Rejected, but a foul called on KJ Williams.
Nice job of Marble following his own shot. And we've seen this as well. We talk about how LSU needs to do a better job on the glass overall. I think they could be dominant, but right now they're getting out-rebounded by 7 against a smaller Texas A&M team. And that's why Coach McMahon called that timeout. When I went to see LSU practice, I saw the LSU Tigers that we've seen that only lost at Kentucky and versus Kansas State. This is the first time I've really seen a team that played harder for 20 minutes of basketball than they did.
Going to have to step it up, no question about that. A&M overall a very good free throw shooting team. They get to the line more than anybody in the country. Marble, however, has struggled before that trip. 42% on the year. Knocks down a pair, though. LSU in a 15-point hole right now. Just getting it across the timeline sometimes is an adventure.
And what's even more impressive is that the Aggies aren't losing anything, right? And now you've got 14 seconds left, and there hadn't even been an entry pass.
And then a deflected pass. Hannibal tried to thread the needle. And a reach-in foul on Derek Fountain. A third foul on Fountain.
Derek Fountain shaking his head, but the officials aren't the concern that the LSU Tigers need to have. They need to control this end right here.
3-on-2, and LSU cashes in with Fountain.
How pretty was that? And that's why Trey Hannibal's in the game right now, and he might play for the entire 20 minutes. He's the only one that's consistently been the aggressor, the bowling ball, if you will, that Coach Jimmy Dykes said that he called Trey Hannibal in this basketball game.
And again, he had 19 in that big win over Arkansas, earning SEC Player of the Week. Aggies throw it away. Loose basketball. There's Hannibal fighting for it. You're not going to tear the ball away from him. And the arrow goes to LSU.
Yeah, he's the only true Tiger, right? If you're talking about the animal itself, that I've seen here today for LSU. Let's see if he inspires LSU, and then let's see the response of the Aggies here in the second half.
Started his career with Frank Martin in South Carolina, transferred to Murray State, played for Matt McMahon there, and one of the many Murray State racers that made their way to Baton Rouge to follow their head coach, Matt McMahon. 13-point game. LSU trying to chip away early part of the second half.
Nice denial that time by Dexter Dennis.
Saved by Hannibal. The runner, and a foul drawn by Adam Miller.
And you notice the whistles now going for LSU a little bit more because they're actually attacking the basket.
More aggressive, sure.
You know, that first half, there was so many settles for three-point shots. I mean, now, with them going to the rim, you just put the onus on the officials to blow the whistle when there's contact.
Now, the one other thing I would add about LSU and the struggles in this game, and we'll see what, oh my goodness.
Speaking of struggles, continue though, partner.
That's an 86% free throw shooter.
It happens. It still equates to one miss.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's blame that on a little condensation on the hands, right? That's where you, as a player, you start wiping them on your shorts. Clearly, that was the issue. But what I was going to say is, you know, the scouting in this league is so good. So, you know, LSU was a mystery to everybody.
Right.
At the beginning of this year because it was almost an entirely revamped roster. And then all of a sudden people get tape on you.
Yeah.
They see what you do and how you do it well. They get a book on KJ Williams and what to do against him. I'm not saying this is going to be something we see in the future, these kind of struggles, but I will tell you, it only gets harder as the conference season moves along.
Yeah, just elite level coaching in this league. And the competitiveness as it continues to go, and the intensity, in particularly to start league play, is always at an all-time high. Nice step back.
Offensive rebounds, stick back, good.
You know, this is the same thing we saw in the Florida game. I remember Jimmy Dykes said absolutely no help on the defensive glass by Colin Castleton. If you're an LSU Tiger, you can't leave KJ Williams to rebound by himself. You have to gain rebound. You have to complete a defensive possession by actually getting a defensive rebound. The Tigers have struggled with that today.
That was Dennis slithering in for the rebound and the bucket, and a foul on the Aggies. Dennis with 17 points tonight.
And we talked about our next game, Arkansas versus Auburn. I think rebounding is the key in determining that basketball game. Both teams struggle to shoot from the perimeter at times. Those extra possessions when the defense is scrambling seems to come up big in these games.
Closing in on a break zone here. Double team. See if you find the open man. Somebody's got to be open. There he is, and there's the three. Adam Miller. That's just basketball 101. Draw the double. Find the open man. Miller hits the tray. He's got 10.
So Coach McMahon has decided, even if they're going to double team KJ Williams, because he hasn't scored on the perimeter, he's going to go inside. I think it's the right decision.
Agreed. Coleman. He draws a double and lost it. Swarming defense that time by LSU, and then a foul on the Aggies, and that'll bring us to a media timeout. When we come back, time to drop some knowledge. We need some fish facts here on a Saturday night in College Station. Point lead, trying to go to 2-0 in conference play as we welcome you back inside the Arena. He is the one and only Damian Fishback. I am Mike Morgan. Hope everybody is doing well. Fish, we need some knowledge. We need some facts. We need to separate fact from fiction. Go ahead and give us some nuggets. I know it's early in the year, but I know you think it's a very important time of the year.
Yeah, this time of the year, the fact is you either get better or you will get beat. Fact. You think about what's going on all across college basketball, and in particular in this league. Teams that play well in the non-conference, they're getting beat now because they're not improving. They're not getting better. You saw that with Brandon Miller today versus Kentucky. He had to get better, right? Teams are now forcing him to go to the rim. And it's the same thing in this league. These teams that are in the top 50, you cannot afford to get comfortable and think that you're going to be dancing in March. You have to get better because you got teams that in the next 50 that are hungry, like a Texas A&M here, like an LSU, like a Florida, like an Ole Miss, that are trying to get into the tournament. So every practice makes a difference. The times you're not in practice, getting up free throws, the discipline on and off the court, all make a difference. You either get better or you're going to get beat.
It's only the second or third game, conference game for every team in this league, but they all count the same. Once we get to March and start looking at bubble teams and seeding and everything else, a win or a loss in January, it counts the same as one in late February or early March. So this is one of those games for somebody could stand out a couple of months from now.
Well, it's even more important for the Aggies because they're at home, but the way the Aggies are playing, it would be an even more impressive win potentially down the stretch, because you have to think about it. If the Aggies were to finish 1 through 75 in the net rankings, then that would be considered a quad 1 win because it's on the road for LSU.
Going back to the Aggies side of the ledger, they know if they didn't start off so poorly last year, again, losing 8 in a row in conference play, they wind up in the tournament. They still wound up a bubble team and one of the last teams, if not the last team, out. If they just held court for that early stretch of the year, we might be talking about a team that not only went to the tournament, but nobody wanted to play that team at the end of the year.
Towards the end of the year. I mean, they ran into a buzzsaw in Kennedy Chandler and obviously Tennessee. Wow, speaking of buzzsaws, how good are they today? The dominance from start to finish over the Gamecocks on the road in South Carolina.
What a pass by Hannibal. He had a howitzer as he whipped that one 40 feet down low.
But he wouldn't have received that pass if Hannibal turned the basketball over. He was strong, tough, and physical with the basketball.
Don't look now, it's a 9-point game. Inside Coleman, all set up by the assist from Andre Gordon.
Big time finish. The Aggies continue to apply the pressure that Joe Frazier that we talked about. They keep coming at you.
Henry Coleman now 600 career points for the former Duke Blue Devil. And LSU can respond. Miller trying to size up a three, but he can't do it against Coleman. Shot clock down to 5. Down to 2. Down to 1. That will not count.
Wow. Nice penetration that time by Gordon, and the pass even prettier. And then how about the finish by Henry Coleman, the transfer from Duke. And let's see if LSU can try to get back in this game defensively.
Well, you mentioned why Andre Gordon gets minutes, because he's not a big-time scorer, but he doesn't turn it over, makes the right decisions, still helps you win ball games.
Absolutely.
We got a lot of things here. We got contact, we got a body down, we got a dunk after a whistle, and it looks like we got an offensive foul called on LSU. And that's the 4th foul on Derek Fountain.
Yeah, and Derek Fountain had a good game against Arkansas, the transfer from Mississippi State, but still trying to find his way. A couple of double-doubles in back-to-back games against Arkansas and Kentucky. And I believe that basketball had a good chance of actually going in, but that's the relentless pursuit of the Aggies. They never quit. They keep coming at you for 40 minutes of play.
Here's where you love having great guard play as A&M. Of course, as soon as I say that, they turn it over right on cue. I'm about to praise Taylor and Radford. It's the 7th turnover of the game on Texas A&M.
Now, see, this is where you have to get the ball to KJ Williams, but he has to work to get the basketball. He has 5 inches over Dexter Dennis. He's just floating, and they turn the basketball over.
I think Hannibal was looking for Miller off the screen. Miller never saw it. It's just been that kind of game offensively for LSU.
Well, you see Coach McMahon on the sideline with the look of frustration on his face. Hannibal that time going for the steal. I don't mind it. He didn't lose anything. At least he's being aggressive.
Dennis up top. Finds Radford off a curl. Boots. Buying time with 3. Attacks the rim. Lefty. Got it!
Pretty basketball. And Coach Buzz Williams talked about what they try to do to get their fouls is they really attack the secondary defenders. And that time, Trey Hannibal as a secondary defender didn't keep his eye on the ball and wasn't in position to help.
Hannibal, bullish in the paint, just comes barreling in, draws the contact, and ordinarily that's good for LSU. It will be here, but still the Tigers down 13. The Aggies up big here at the Reed Arena. Texas A&M impressive in this game in every facet, shooting the basketball fairly well. They value the basketball well, don't turn it over much. Defensively, I don't know if there's anybody better in this league, Fish, and right now it's just all coming together.
Yeah, well, we compared them to Joe Frazier in the first half, and one thing that Joe Frazier was exquisite at was going to the body. And body blows in the game of college basketball are points in the paint. They're dominating right now 28-6 in regards to points in the paint. Now, that's just saying that the other team is being more aggressive than you, and so that's what you have to continue to do if you're the Aggies. The shots to the head are the three-point shots that they knock down here or there, but they just continue to attack that body, and Trey Hannibal is the one person for LSU who's trying to do that on this side, which is why he's at the free throw line.
We mentioned Arkansas and Auburn later tonight. In one respect, Arkansas reminds me of A&M in that Arkansas doesn't rely on threes. They only make about 5 a game.
Sure.
They beat you in a million other different ways, and that's what Texas A&M does. The Aggies can win games without hitting a single three-point shot because they do all the other things so well.
And particularly the free throw line and winning the glass, right? Still +7 on the glass, but you're right. When you think about Arkansas's got the length and athleticism that the first time you play them, it kind of shell shocks you. Like Kentucky was shell shocked at Alabama.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's not just the length of Charles Bediako, it's the length of Noah Clowney, the length of Brandon Miller, all of those guys so long.
Bradford missed that one short. Alabama put on a clinic today at Coleman Coliseum for those that missed it. A win against Kentucky. Hannibal just left that one short, but there's a rare offensive rebound and no dice for Coleman. Missed it at point-blank range.
Wow, and Coleman and Hannibal, the only 2 guys fighting down there. Coach McMahon's going to have a heart-to-heart with his team on facing a team like the Texas A&M Aggies because they're smaller, but they have more grit and more physical toughness.
What a feed by Gordon, and now 13 for the big man Marble. Andre Gordon might be the most productive player in this league, averaging under 2 points a game.
No doubt about that.
There's a 3 and a much needed one at that for Justice Hill, his first points.
Well, Justice Hill is a guy who hit 63 pointers last year, only 14 coming into the game this year. But he's had 103 pointers over his career. He's a dude, a real dude who can score at this level. He just hadn't been able to do it here in the SEC yet.
Another one of those Murray State transfers, and now a turnover on the Aggies. LSU can close to within 8, maybe even 7. Strong take, offensive foul.
Well, this is what we mean when we say you can't be an automatic type vehicle playing the Texas A&M Aggies. You got to be aggressive to get by the defense, but you got to be able to change speeds and direction once you get in there and make the decision. Do I pull up for a jump shot? Do I use the floater? Do I jump stop on 2 feet and pass it to one of my teammates? That's the question.
Julius Marble really, after a great performance against the Gators, again, they don't win that game in Gainesville without his 17 points, his rebounds, his defense, his energy. He's playing another good ball game tonight in a starting role.
And so he was checking to make sure that it was a 2 or 3, I believe, on that previous jump shot by Hill, and he said it certainly was a 3. So they confirmed that it was a 3.
So the score remains 48-38, 10-point game. Taylor.
Nice
inside.
pass.
Boy, oh boy, and an and one. The Marble. I mean, the Aggies are putting on a passing clinic as much as anything else in this second half.
Well, everything that the Aggies are doing has been physically strong, right? Now, that's one where you got the foul. You could have missed it. You could have laid up easy. But you don't. You finish. You get yourself to get a 3-point play the old-fashioned way. I love what I'm seeing for the Texas A&M Aggies.
17 in the last game for Marble, and 15 so far in this game.
Even that play right there, right? Garcia. That's a free throw rebound, you know? But they're playing harder. They're getting their hands on loose balls.
Find the juice here the final 10 minutes of this game, down 12.
Well, you mentioned that a few of these guys came from Murray State. The big difference, and one of the reasons why your power conference leagues are so balanced, is because you have to show up every single game.
Right.
So you think about it, at Murray State, did they ever go against an Arkansas to a Rupp Arena and then have to come here and play against Texas A&M?
Right. Off night continues for Williams, misfiring out an open 3. Still stuck on 6 points. Hefner up top. Hefner with a Euro step and draws the foul. Hayden Hefner says, I got a little drive in my game.
Well, Hayden Hefner's got an upside. He's got the ability to knock down shots and put it on the floor. Actually more athletic than you probably would think he is as well. And the Aggies don't have a lot of size. They don't have a 7-footer or even, a bunch of guys that are 6'10" with a lot of length. But they do have multiple guys between kind of that 6'4" to 6'8" range that are mobile, that are aggressive, and that are pretty athletic.
After 93% on the year. They'll split the free, and there it is, Fish. I mean, that's like a replay of the last one.
It's unacceptable if I'm Coach McMahon.
No. Just can't have that. Radford.
Pretty.
Just gliding by the defense all the way to the hole.
We talked about the importance of this basketball game. You can tell that the Aggies realize that. Quicker to the basketball, more cohesive playing as one unit. You see how everybody's helping here on Williams? But he's still able to get to the free throw line because he was aggressive trying to get to the rim. And that's what he has to do.
17th foul on Texas A&M. A 2-shot foul for KJ Williams. Player of the year in the Ohio Valley. He's actually the first player in that conference's history to average the most points per game and hit the most field goals. He was #1 in scoring. He was #2 in rebounding. He started off like a firecracker for LSU this year. In this game, he has yet to find a rhythm. See what KJ Williams did at Murray State the last couple of years in particular, just lighting it up. Really added the three-point shot to his game. He only shot 5 of them his first year at Murray State, made 1 of them. He turned himself into a weapon from outside. Came into this game shooting over 50% from 3. He's got that feathery touch. It just hasn't been on for him tonight.
Well, with 7 rebounds tonight, he becomes another player of LSU that's got over 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. The other one was Rudy Mack. To just show you what type of player he is with those types of career numbers. But he's got to put it on tonight for his Tigers to get back in it.
Front iron for Taylor. LSU going to try to make him pay on the other end.
Nice job of the Aggies getting back in defensive transition. It's the little things that allow Texas A&M to win games.
Tough pass. Corralled by Hannibal. Williams, mid-range, short but a foul. I think they whistled Radford for that foul. First foul on Radford.
You never want to foul a jump shooter, and Tyrese Radford's looking up at one of the biggest screens that I've ever seen in college basketball to take a look at it. The fans don't feel like he fouled.
%81 on the year for KJ Williams.
You know, as much as we've talked about how well the Aggies have played, how dominant they've been in regards to aggressiveness and defense and rebounding and turnover the basketball, LSU's still very much in striking distance.
And they've had multiple opportunities to really cut the lead, not only to single digits, but I mean, they could easily be within 4 or 5. Just a couple of breakdowns on the glass defensively, missing open shots. But here we are, 11-point game, ton of time to go. We know they've got spurt ability once they get going. They just haven't been able to get going. Hefner, there's another offensive rebound. And Julius Marble, if you don't get a body on that man, he's going to kill you in the paint.
Yeah. Well, KJ Williams looks like he's rebounding all by himself, and Fountain's on the sideline with a little foul trouble right now. They're looking for that other big who can come and help Williams out. And careless pass by Justice Hill.
LSU at times unraveling. By the way, Marble, second straight game with 17 points. Hefner tried to find Marble that time, but he couldn't reel it in. Hill on a crossover. Hefner almost stole it. Every pass comes with so much difficulty for LSU. Aggies up big. When we come back, we'll give you a little football take. National championship game about 48 hours away.
When you buy 10 tickets on Vivid Seats, you get the 11th ticket free. I wonder what my 11th will be.
Hey, you're trash!
Living rent-free in a hockey player's head?
Or maybe just make some noise!
What's your 11th?
Bravo! You use the Quicksilver card from Capital One with no annual fee and unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase every way. That makes you the hero of every purchase. What's in your wallet?
Aggies out to a 13-point lead, 55-42. Our score was 7:09 to go as we welcome you back inside. He is Damian Fishback. I am Mike Morgan this Saturday evening. And Fish, I know, former basketball star, but you like some football as well. You'll be watching Monday night national championship game like we all will on ESPN. Georgia Bulldogs, Horned Frogs at TCU. Your prediction, sir?
Well, you saw the run that TCU made, you know, in the Big 12, just got cut short, but their dominance in the first, I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs, man. Come on, Kirby Smart, they ready to go, man. Are you kidding me?
You just gave the old Lee Corso rope-a-dope. Look, I'm going Georgia. It's been my team all year long. Love Max Duggan, love Coach Dykes, love what everything TCU's done. I got to go with Georgia overall. And we also have a secret weapon in terms of prognostication. When it's a game involving the Bulldogs or any kind of dog, I got to go to my own dog back home. You remember Baxter. Baxter, I talk with him. I communicate with him. He's got a strong take on this. He is very high on Georgia. So the Boston Terrier has spoken.
I know he's a dog, but I call Baxter the handsome lion. That guy is sharp, man.
He is a lady killer. There is no question about that. Baxter chiming in, and LSU chiming in with a three-point shot. It's now a 10-point game, 55-45.
A huge shot that keeps that crack in the door with a lot of time left, but this is the end where they've got to get some stops. Derek Fountain back in the basketball game now as well.
We'll bookmark that three to see if that's the one that gets LSU back in this game. Got to get some stops, though. Can't trade baskets. Shot clock at 5. Strong take and an even stronger block by KJ Williams.
Yeah, a lot of bounce in the step right now. You know, you've got a lot of Tigers that have played a lot of minutes today. So oftentimes as a player, you try to save up during the game, right? You try to say, well, it's, you know, we got 20 minutes left. I may not run the floor this hard, or I may not defend this hard. You have to wonder if because of the amount of minutes that KJ Williams is playing and some of the other starters, if they've saved up a little bit.
4 on the shot clock. Aggies get it into Radford. Pounded by Miller. Radford, step back 3 on the way. Got it! Boots from downtown.
Heart and soul of the Aggies team right there.
What a find for the young man out of Baton Rouge. You know, this game extra special for him. Hannibal tight ropes the baseline. Kick out to Fountain with 9 to shoot. Fountain too strong off the window.
Still like that attacking of the basket of Derek Fountain, but just a nice job of the Aggies, always showing you at least a couple of defenders to make it look like those lanes to get to the rim aren't open.
That is just a back-breaking 3. Late clock. And that's going to be a block on LSU. You go back to this shot. If LSU gets a stop here, they can cut it to within single digits. You play great defense for the better part of 30 seconds, and then Radford does this.
Sure. Well, that's what you need to win basketball games in March. You need a tough shot maker, and that's what Tyrese Boots Radford did on that particular play.
There's 2 stats that I love about Tyrese Radford. I mean, because he's an unusual player, right? He's kind of a unicorn. He's 6'2", And yet he's one of the top rebounders, averaging over 5 boards a game.
Sure.
And he's the only player in all of college basketball. Think about this. Over 300 Division I schools. The only player in college basketball at 6'2" or shorter to be shooting over 50% from the field. And what is he tonight? He's over 50%, 4 for 7. So he's efficient on top of everything else.
No doubt about it. And I think he exemplifies an extension of Coach Buzz Williams. He plays bigger than he is. And he's going to play hard for 40 minutes or however long he's in between the lines.
5 minutes to go. If you're LSU, you're in a bit of a danger zone. Miller can't get it to go. Deflected, out of bounds. It'll remain LSU basketball.
You notice how the Aggies, a lot of times, even if they can't get to the rebound, they're really good at tapping it out. And so what we've seen today, along with Tyrese Radford and Trey Hannibal, 2 quality rebounders, and you see Meechie Johnson and Mark Sears, who played well today at home, and then Wendell Green, who you'll see in the next game.
Hannibal draws contact and a foul. You don't have to be 7 feet to be a great rebounder. I think that's the point that you see with that list of players, 6'2" and below, all very good rebounders. And very often when you lose the battle of the boards, Fish, it's not 2 7-footers going at it. It's the guards that are racking up a lot of rebounds.
Yeah, and there's a player somewhere, a young boy, young girl, who wants to make their team, who wants to get more playing time. Know this, rebounding and defense, some of that's attributed to athleticism, but more than anything, it's just a matter of will.
Want to, right?
Matter of want to. And Tyrese Radford and that guy at the free throw line, Trey Hannibal, are 2 guys who show you that there can be some want to at 6'2".
This Aggies team has had plenty of want to from the opening tip tonight. Fresh off a big win on the road in Gainesville. And now trying to make it 2-0 in conference play. And all of a sudden, eyebrows will start coming up. And people will be thinking, okay, maybe Buzz finally has his team that really fits his DNA. And nobody's going to want to play the rest of this season.
You see how much quicker the Aggies attacked the pressure versus what we saw from LSU? They went right through the pressure.
Coleman with a drive and kick. Dennis thought about it. And that's going to be on LSU. I believe they're going to call Adam Miller. Well, Adam Miller, at least he was battling. But he gets whistled for the foul, and for LSU, that's now 18 fouls. So the Aggies will have the benefit of the bonus for the final 4:33 in this game.
Aggies are 10 of 15 from the free throw line. LSU has now matched that with 15 times to the free throw line. They're 13 of 15. They just have to get there more.
Well, what I like about their team as well, when you're trying to protect the lead, who's going to handle the ball most? Your guards, right? Radford and Taylor, both good free throw shooters. Lead is 15 now. And steal. Coleman, Taylor tried the alley-oop. Radford will finally get it in anyway. 12 points for Boots.
Beautiful basketball by the Aggies, keeping their foot on the gas pedal.
Miller almost had to have it. He's got 16.
Well, you think about this season, he's already had 5 games in which he's had 4 3-pointers or more. That was a big one today.
Still needs stops. Taylor bleeding some clock up top. Now Coleman weaving in. Coleman drops it.
No resistance. Nice job of Coleman doing what the Aggies have done all night long, which is attacking the paint area.
When you think of the knock on LSU the last couple of years, they could score with anybody.
Sure.
It was on the defensive end, Fish, that was really an issue as Matt McMahon calls a timeout. A 14-point game, 3:13 to go. LSU's going to have to defend for the final 3:13 if they're going to have any chance to come back and win this game. State.
Well, you know, we talked about this the entire basketball game, but defensively, the Aggies have been in passing lanes, and Dexter, I'm ducking it tonight. Dennis had a beautiful finish in the first half, shows a little athleticism and an outstanding mannerism by the Texas A&M Aggies, the transfer from Wichita State.
Dennis really set the tone in the first half, a season-high 17 points, and as he is quieted down offensively in the second half, guys like Tyrese Radford have picked it up, and the Aggies have led almost this entire game, up by 14 with 3:13 to play. Little juice in the building tonight at the Reed Arena as the Aggies trying to improve to a 2-0 start in conference play. Full court pressure shown by LSU. They're going to need to turn them over here. But again, the Aggies awfully good at protecting the basketball. Coleman pushed from behind, and that'll be number 5 on Derek Fountain. He will foul out of this game.
Buzz Williams was all smile on that particular play. That's kind of the oldest trick in the book for the guards. You know, you feel somebody coming behind you, and you just kind of slow down and let them run over you, especially those big guys like Derek Fountain at 6'10", 225 pounds. That's an easy trip to the charity stripe.
He just slammed the brakes. You do that in a car, you're going to get rear-ended. Call your insurance company. Hopefully you have collision. And you can't fault Derek Fountain. At least he gave you hustle and energy.
Well, and he'd been playing well, right? You think about, he started the last 6 games and was second overall in the rebounding average. Actually had been leading teams in rebounds during SEC play.
Another good free throw shooter, Wade Taylor. The Aggies as a team, 73%. Taylor and Radford, respectively, have shot 77 and 78 free throws. Those are the top 2 free throw attempts leaders in the Southeastern Conference. So when your 2 guards are shooting more free throws than anybody else in your league,
right,
that's an awfully good sign.
Yeah. Well, and you know, obviously we've still got 3:09 left to go in this basketball game, but you think about who's coming up next in Missouri on this schedule, and you think about a mixture of styles, both teams that like to turn you over, 2 teams that like to get up and down, but in different ways. That ought to be a big-time matchup.
Missouri winning today, knocking off Vanderbilt. Coach Gates and his Mizzou squad have been one of the better stories this year in the SEC. Under 3 minutes to play. Hannibal goes to work in the trees. And maybe catching a little bit of a break there. They'll call the foul on Dennis.
Dexter Dennis with a smile on his face.
They got a little elbow. If you're LSU, you can use all the help you can get because it has been a struggle. And again, the focus really is more on what A&M does well defensively. Like, it's not an accident that teams like LSU have struggled to get into a rhythm. That is the mark of an A&M defense under Buzz Williams.
Well, John Brady, who does the radio for LSU, I talked to him at the half, and he said, this is the most physical team that LSU has faced all year long. And that says a lot. And I think Coach McMahon will go back to the drawing board and say, you know what, we got to get more physical. You look at teams that are successful across the country. UConn, even though they've struggled a little bit in the Big East, Providence has been playing extremely well. Ed Cooley getting better as usual. Fans don't like this call as well. You know, Aggie fans are saying, we don't care about this 16-point lead. We want to take it to 20.
And that's not under the final 2 minutes, so not reviewable. Hill to Hannibal. In the trees, block foul, count the basket. 9 points for Hannibal. It has really been the one. You want to talk about physical, you know Trey Hannibal is going to give you just that.
Sure. Well, if you're learning anything from this basketball game, from the LSU standpoint, is that you can't live and die on the three-point shot, right? So tonight they shot 40%, which isn't bad, but they just didn't start attacking until it was too late in the basketball game. And you combine that with 14 turnovers, which allowed the Aggies to get 15 points off of those turnovers, and that's the difference.
I think, too, they really set the tone. KJ Williams right now is sitting on 10 points, 7 rebounds, but he hasn't been the factor that LSU needed him to be. And again,
sure,
the Aggies took that away.
Frankly, I think they backed down to the physical play of the Aggies early in this basketball game. I think they responded much better here in the second half, but, you know, plays like that, you got to be quicker and continue to fight, because that's what the Aggies are going to do.
Every loose ball, they're just all over the place. At times, it looks like they have 7 players on the floor. Timeout here with 2:10 to go. When I think of A&M, I think of floor burn you. I mean, they get after everything. Doesn't matter whether it's practice, shoot around, or game time. That's just the way they play. They don't know any other way.
Well, you think about where they were at coming into this basketball game in regards of 9-5. Look like they're going to win this basketball game, so they get to 10 wins. Their non-conference schedule was good enough to where they positioned themselves to where the committee can't say the non-conference schedule wasn't strong enough this year.
Right.
And so if you get 10, even potentially 11 wins in SEC play, you don't have to worry about winning those games come SEC tournament time like you did last year. You have a good chance of getting in.
Now, coming up next, we've mentioned it a couple of times. It's worth mentioning again. We got number 13, Arkansas, number 22, Auburn. That'll be in the Jungle. That'll start at 8:30 Eastern Time. Arkansas, again, still playing shorthanded. And you don't know when, or for that matter, if they're going to be at full strength. We know Brazil is out for the year, but they're also missing one of the top freshmen in all of college basketball, and Nick Smith. The last time I was down there, watched him warm up, still shooting it around, but there's no timetable. You talk to Coach Musselman, he would just tell you point blank right now there is no timetable. So Arkansas will just continue to play without him. It's still a loaded roster. Black is one of the most unique point guards in the game right now, and so they've got plenty of weaponry.
And let's talk about the business side of it, right? For a guy like Nick Smith Jr., when you go out and recruit guys that are lottery picks, if you will, if they're hurt or their career is in jeopardy, they have to be even more cautious than the other player, because they've got millions of dollars that they would be potentially risking.
Right.
So all of that goes into it with Nick Smith Jr.
Radford just goes right in. 14 points for Tyrese Radford. Hannibal hanging, can't hit. And now with under 2 minutes to go and a 16-point lead, the Aggies feel like they have this one just about done. You see the rebounds, plus 11 tonight for Texas A&M. They don't turn it over, and they've shot well tonight, 50% from the field.
Well, I thought that the Aggies, after the way they went and performed at Florida, would play well, but I didn't think they would dominate this game the way LSU played against Arkansas and at Kentucky like they did from start to finish.
Wide open three, yes. Knocked down in the corner by Justice Hill, only his second basket of the game. LSU just trying to hold on to hope here with 1 minute and 4 seconds to go. Yeah, I didn't see this one coming either. I thought with LSU's firepower, even if A&M did everything that they're capable of doing, which they obviously have, I thought you and I might be looking at a nail-biter tonight, but sometimes the ball just does not go your way and has not gone LSU's way, really, in any facet of the game.
Well, what I've learned from this basketball game is that, once again, the Aggies are for real, right?
Yes.
We saw their non-conference schedule, slipped and fell in a couple of games. Really, you turn on those games and you say, man, what happened after that run that they had in the NIT? You couldn't understand it, but it takes time, and the pieces are now beginning to fit together. They, more than anything, know who they are now. They know their identity, Mike.
How about this as part of that identity? In this game, A&M forced a 10-second violation, a 5-second violation, and a shot clock violation. That you can go all year without doing all three of those things in one game, but again, the Aggies will do that to you. LSU at the beginning of the year, the one thing they really struggled with was turnovers, and then they seemed to get it right. All of a sudden, Justice Hill became one of the top assist-to-turnover ratio guys. The problem is Hill is on the floor less and less because he's not scoring. Hannibal gives you more physicality, but he also turns it over more.
Sure.
And right now, I think that man, Matt McMahon, is still trying to find out his best formula to give his team the best chance to win in this league.
Yep. So one team knows their identity, the other one's still trying to figure it out.
Exactly. And that I think you could say that with almost every first-year coach this year in the league, right? I mean, Mike White's still trying to figure out exactly what he has at Georgia. Certainly, Coach Perry is trying to figure out what he has at South Carolina. Yeah, they got a lottery pick at G.G. Jackson, but they're still trying to figure out who's your second best weapon, your third best weapon. You know, Missouri's been kind of the exception of the rule with the start that they have had. We'll see if the Tigers can keep it up. Mississippi State, another one under Coach Jans. Got off to a great start. They've been humbled a bit in conference play.
Sure. Able to knock off Ole Miss today.
Yep. Radford left alone. Here's Hannibal on the attack per usual. That one pops out, and that will all but put an end to the suspense. Texas A&M is going to improve to 10-5 overall, 2-0 in league play, much to the delight of nearly 10,000 fans here at Reed Arena.
Well, if you wondered if the Texas A&M that made a run to the finals of the NIT last year would have a chance to get back and dance in March, in the non-conference you had multiple questions of whether that was possible. I think they answered those questions here today against LSU.
Coach Williams might have his best team in College Station, and maybe the best is still yet to come. One thing we know for sure, they're off to a very comfortable 2-0 start in conference play. A road win at Florida, a home win against LSU. The Aggies convincing tonight, 69-56 your final score. That's going to do it for us. For Damian Fishback and our entire SEC Network crew, I'm Mike Morgan saying so long for now. Studio is going to get you set for the nightcap. SEC Now.